It's
Okay.
now 6 o'clock. The special February 1st meeting will come to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Okay, Councilman Cuspa.
Here.
Councilman George.
Here.
Councilman Ayers Reese.
Present.
Councilman Graziani.
Present.
Councilman Rausch.
Here.
And Councilman Kowalski.
Present.
All right. The purpose for this meeting is to fill the vacancy as left by Councilman Kolovis and the process we set forth in prior meetings. The first item under Communications A is to establish a list of applicants to be considered for appointment. We all were provided with a memo from administration, from the clerk's office, and as well as the finance director that stated the 4 qualified candidates. So as set forth by our processes previously, these were the qualifications and the guidelines that we needed, and those were the 4 candidates that will be interviewed today due to those qualifications. Moving on, we have a memo from the administrator regarding the proposed interview and appointment process for council vacancy applicants. We had asked the administration to compile and look into other ways that other cities have done this in the past. And Mr. Marsh presented us with a proposed process for this thing. I think that there's some clarifications that I have, first of all, before I open up to discussion, but just if my fellow council members will follow along with me. I think that the applicant, the order of applicants to be interviewed should be, I asked the administration also to put their names in the order they were turning in their applications for. I think that just makes sense. Whoever turned their application in first will be interviewed first. If there's something that the council thinks a different way, we can do that too. But that just the process of who put their application in first and then so forth and so on. Same with I know we were talking about a moderator, we were talking about council. It's not really a moderator exactly, just someone who asks the questions, and I think this is a way to go, someone else other than our council members, only because there's only 5 questions and there's 6 of us, and also it gives us a opportunity to fully focus on what's being what's being said of the answers of the candidates. I know a follow-up question process was also discussed. I think after the 3-minute 5 questions are asked, there might be a 5-minute period of council to ask any follow-up questions of the answers already posed from those questions. I don't think it's fair to give another topic of a question to one candidate, not the other, if there's any clarifying questions from those answers that were already given. And I think that was the only notes that I had. The tabulating part. I think once we collect all of our rankings, Mr. Drysdale will the clerk, one of you guys will either read the rankings and one will tally. So that's just easier for that process as well, if that's okay with the 2 parties. Okay. Is there any other discussion, I guess, that the council has regarding this process?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Kowalski?
are you providing us the tablets to rank them on?
Yes, it'll be just the piece of paper, and you can jot down your rankings and the people, and it'll be up to your top 3. Up to your top 3.
With the ranking order of the 3 for the highest, 2 for the second,
Correct.
and 1 for the lowest?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
So if that is a consensus for the process, I think that makes the most sense, being with the few notes that I provided. Mr. Drysdale, did you have? Oh, I guess, okay, yeah, we can hand out those. Too. But first, I would also need a motion to approve the proposed interview and appointment process for the vacancy with the few discussed changes that were mentioned here today.
Madam Chairman,
Councilman Rausch.
I make a motion, we approve the process and that you stated.
Support.
Motion by Rausch, supported by George. Any discussion? Any objection?
Madam Chair.
Oh, Councilman.
I would just like to thank the administration and the council for all the work that went into this. I know it wasn't easy. It took a lot of time, and we deeply appreciate all the hard work that everybody has done to go through this process.
Any further discussion or objection? Okay, motion carries then.
Madam Chair, I have copies of the questions as well, if the council would like to have those.
Yeah, that'd be great, thank you. So I guess we should also take a quick, who is in the audience here, with those 4 applicants who qualified. First, I just want to say thank you to everyone who applied. This is a process where one person will be picked, of course. As a council, we really appreciate your interest, and we're going to move on to the interview part of this process now.
Madam Chairman,
Councilman Roush.
I do know that, and I yesterday had a conversation with the mayor, I know that Andy Mull is not here, he's on vacation.
Right.
So we need to probably consider if we want to consider him or not. I will tell you that when I read his application, and on the bottom of it, he did state that he was not going to be here, that I actually reached out to him and talked to him. And, so I just think that we could at least consider him based off of his application, instead of completely running him off, since there's only the 4 of them anyway. So but it's the consensus of the council. But I know when I talked to the mayor, he said that would be probably the best way to do it is if the council thought we should at least consider him, so.
Right, I think we can consider someone based off their application, but I think we should also, understand all the people that did show up
Correct. Yeah,
today,
I
that
agree. I
also.
agree.
It's the other individuals. So with that, the candidates should, or the applicants would be.
Madam Chairman, just to
Mr. Mayor.
follow up on Mr. Roush, or Councilman Roush's comments, the thought process that I had, and if council has concurred with that, is that it was not explicitly in the application what the requirement of the interview was. It was suggesting the interviews would happen, but it was not a requirement on your application to say that they had to be. So that's the discretion of the council to decide whether they want to just take the application and resume into account.
Right. Okay, with that, we start with the application interviews. However, Mr. Marsh, would you direct them into, or who would be directing them into the caucus room?
Okay, so the 4 qualified candidates that should go meet in the caucus room are Nicole Yakelin, Edward Golick, Saul Luprecio, and Andrew Mall.
Now, since we are going by this, just to clarify and for transparency for everyone, really, had these candidates come in late, how does the council want to deal with that?
Madam Chairman, I guess,
Councilman Roush.
were they told they had to be here at 6 o'clock?
They all got a
Yeah.
packet.
Yeah, they all had a
well,
packet.
I mean, if you were told you were.
And
had
it
to
was
be-
on the-
That'd be like a job interview. If you came late to a job interview, you might not consider them. I mean, that's
Understood.
just, right? I mean, I don't know
No,
how you.
I just want to ask council. I'm
Right,
just
right,
trying-
I agree.
Yeah, so, okay, that would be,
Okay.
part of the application process on the application itself was that it would be here at 6 o'clock.
Correct.
And then however the order of applicants go from there, but I guess, I don't know, is Doug still in the caucus room?
Madam Chair?
Councilman Kowalski?
So as just observing here, and I don't know, everybody,
we only have one.
we just have one applicant present at the
I'll
moment?
call for Nicole Yaklin.
And Saul, the candidate Saul Luprecio.
Is he here?
I don't
There's
think
only
so.
Ed there?
Is there, Mr. Drysdale, is it just one applicant in the caucus room? Yes, there's nobody else. Okay, well, I'll still call for them. And you might have to go grab in a second. But I'll call for Nicole Yaklin to please come up to the podium for their interview. Seeing she is not here, I will call. Oh,
Just a
Mr. Mayor.
clarification, and I appreciate Councilman Roush's comment about not being here. But if you've made basically, we did not say that it was mandatory to come for the interview. And so if you've indicated that Mr. Mall has indicated prior to the interviews that he's going to be out of town, we haven't heard from the other, they all received this, but perhaps the more equitable way is to suggest that you can consider their applications and potential any other documents so that you're consistent with Mr. Mall. That'd just be a suggestion.
Madam Chairman?
Councilman
I
Roush?
agree with the administration. I mean, you're correct, but they all got the packets, so it would be, I guess, the other 2 that are not showed up, it would be no different than Mr. Mall. We would consider them as well.
right.
But.
And obviously, you can rate that however you want to rate that individually,
Well, I
in
have a
terms
qu-
of participation
I'm sorry,
or not.
Madam Chairman?
Councilman Roush?
I have a question, though. Since there's only one candidate, do we need to go through the process? Because we all know that,
Well, I think in all fairness to the candidate, but also you need, he's made it, excuse me, Madam Chairman, if it's okay.
Mr. Mayor.
That he's made the effort to be here and to be interviewed. And I think I would assume anybody coming would be prepared. And you may have some follow-up questions for him that those that aren't here you wouldn't have for. So,
Since there, oh, did you have anything else?
Nope,
Okay.
I agree.
Since there are only the one candidate or applicant here, I would ask too that submitted into the minutes that all the applications and their supporting documents be into the minutes, so that that's all there as well.
She listed the four that will be.
All right.
Yeah.
I call Andy Mall to the podium for their interview.
No.
Seeing he's not here,
Okay.
I now call Ed Golick to the podium for their interview.
We need to switch that chair around. Maybe get a chair over here.
Yeah.
Flip Doug's over and then.
Were they just told not to show up if they were in default or something?
Madam Chair, will there be
They were given the same memo that everyone else was given.
Just have to move her.
Madam Chair, do you have a timekeeper or,
I'm sorry?
do you have a timekeeper or a watch?
The clerk, yes.
All right. They have 3 minutes per question or 3 minutes in total?
To answer.
3 minutes. And you're going to time it.
The other people in the
Your
audience.
battery fresh and your watch.
And they're still here.
Oh, okay. Whatever.
Well, we can always use the clock on the wall.
That too, yeah.
Which is right.
Oh, please, the podium up here. Thank you.
Or, yeah, or just, you want them
Or
comfortable?
do you want to
or-
do here? I'm sorry, Ed. Mr. Golick, please, right here.
This is fine.
Okay, whatever you,
Okay.
whatever you feel.
Good evening.
Evening.
Wait,
Mr.
don't say
Zelnick.
anything else. That's good enough. It's a fair start. Sir, would you identify yourself, tell the council in a couple of words how long you've been in the community, and what motivated you to apply for this position? I encourage you to keep it under the 3-minute time restriction here, and the city clerk will start your time right now.
Thank you. And again, thank you for inviting candidates to this evening's interview. It was a transparent process where everybody was allowed an equal chance to interview, and I appreciate the transparency of the council. I've been in Southgate for 37 years. And again, when someone runs for a position, it's generally for several reasons. First of all, I want to give back to the city. Been here for 37 years, raised my kids and grandkids here, and appreciate the opportunities that they've had in the city. Secondly, people have asked me to run. They knew there was an opening, they knew there was a process, and they said, you have a lot of experience, why don't you give it a try? I'm on the Planning Commission right now, I'm the chairman of the Planning Commission. I feel I have a good relationship with the city and the administration, and hopefully with the council as well. Thank you.
Now, sir, would you please tell the council about any further community involvement you may have? You have 3 minutes.
Sure, and I'm not sure how far you want to go back, but like I said, I've been in the city for 37 years. And as soon as my wife and I moved in, we hit the ground running. We helped out at any school event we could help out at, fairs, carnivals, etc. We were both band boosters for 12 years while both of our kids were in band. And the last 12 years, the last 2 years, I was the band booster president. After that, I got involved with the Kids Are the Heart of It Committee, which was a committee of local residents to pass a bond to improve the schools. And as I was on that committee, Stan Mazer, the superintendent, approached me and said, why don't you run for school board as well? And so I ran for school board and I tied. I don't know if there was a tie in Southgate ever until myself and Mrs. Labadie tied. And they chose my name out of a hat. But then they had a recall and I lost by 7 votes. But that didn't deter me. I ran again the next year and I won a seat on the council. And I ran 2 more times after that for a total of 12 years. And the last 5 years of those, I was the board president. And then after that, I ran for city council a couple of times because I wanted to get more involved with the city. And that did not turn out in my favor, but I was appreciative of the chance. And I thought the council that Southgate had on board at the time was doing a great job. Southgate is one of the few cities that has such a veteran leadership on council, until just recently. You know all the turnover there's been. If myself or another candidate are appointed, you'll have 3 appointed members on council and 2 other members with less than 3 years' experience. So I feel some of my leadership skills would help with that. And then, like I said, I'm on the Planning Commission now. I've been on it for 6 years. The last 3 years, I've been the president or chairman, you'd call it, and great working relationship with our building director as far as getting agendas set good relationship with Dan here, getting anything we need for our meetings, always in attendance and answering the questions the best I can.
Sir, would you indicate further, if necessary, to council about the balance of your life experience and that here that was inculcated in your growth in the city of Southgate that makes you believe you are uniquely qualified for this role today on city council?
I guess the answer to that question would be I had a healthy balance between work and community involvement. I worked for the same company for 42 years in a variety of positions, some in HR, some in management, directed over 100 people on a daily basis. And after 42 years, I retired, and it was a great day. I love going to work every day, but I really enjoy this retirement thing. And so, that being said, after volunteering for the city various functions, now I'm completely open, 24/7. I do some community volunteer work in Gibraltar at the food pantry, but those are on days that the council does not meet. So I'm definitely available to meet when the council does. I'm willing to take classes or seminars to learn to be a better council person if I'm appointed, and looking forward to it if appointed.
Mr. Golick, what goals, what conquests would you like to accomplish on city council if you were selected? And if you were selected, what could the residents and the city council expect from you in terms of your performance?
Well, we'll start with the second question first, because I'm ready to hit the ground running. I'm never late for a meeting. I always have my packet. I always have my agenda. I'll call City Hall if there's an issue with the Planning Commission. I'd call the superintendent if there was an issue with the school board issues. I'll be definitely committed to being a council person the best of my ability. As far as the residents go, I'll always look at questions or controversies or issues on how it relates to the best for the citizens involved. If it wasn't my viewpoint and something passed by council, I'd surely support it. But the residents can always expect them, well, look at what's best for them, what's best in their interest within the budget when making a decision.
Madam Chair, next question.
Please continue.
Sir, in a time where civility seems to be the undercurrent of a wish and an aspiration for government from local units to national units of government, there will be times, if you're selected as city councilor, that you'll receive negative criticism for being either the part of an unpopular decision or on the receiving end when you are opposed to the decision. And there are other times when the majority of the city council will vote in a way with which you do not agree. You've already indicated that. Do you believe in the concept of comity, which is a legal term, of following along and letting the decision stand by city council and working together, even if you don't agree with the decision of the majority? And how would you handle those two scenarios? Now, that's a long parenthetical question. If you need me to dice it up, I will, sir.
Well, as far as supporting a decision that I didn't agree with that the rest of the council did, I understand that's going to happen. As long as I've done my homework, I've done my research, and the rest of the council and administration does as well, and it's been presented in a fair and honest forum, and it fits in our budget and our way that the city would like us to spend our money, I would surely back a decision that I personally maybe didn't think was appropriate for the city. Same with on school board. We had to have 4 votes, and a lot of times I wasn't on the for side of the vote. And sometimes it happened even when I was president. But I understood that the other board members were elected by the city and were representing the students and the city. And their viewpoint, if they voted 4-3 or 5-2, and that's the way it went, it was up to me, especially as president, to support that decision and make sure it was carried out.
Madam Chair, those are the questions that council has presented for scrutiny of the applicants for the position here that qualified, and there's certainly a great breadth and depth and thought that all 6 members of council put in the drafting and the acceptance of the questions, and that concludes our portion of the questioning today.
Thank you, Mr. Golick.
Now it's your turn, Madam Chair,
Thank
and
you.
councils.
Lastly, you can please take a seat, Mr.
Okay.
Or, wait, I'm sorry. Is there any questions that any of our council people have of Mr. Golick? I have a quick question. You talked about continuous learning. Has there been any seminars or other trainings that you've ever attended when you were on planning?
On planning, no. We did have 2 presentations by Mr. Enos from our planning consultant, where he brought both the zoning board of appeals and the planning commission together, and we've had that the last 2 years, to explain what planning is, how cities operate, what a 5-year master plan is, and those types of things.
Any other questions from council for Mr. Golick? Okay, thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
sir. For, just to clarify. Oh, you can just sit in the audience, please. I will also call Sal Lupercio to the podium for his interview. And there's no one left in the caucus room, correct, Mr. Drysdale? Okay, with that being said, I suppose we will do the ranking of our choices now based on the applications we received and the interviews we witnessed right now. And once we are done, I'll ask Mr. Drysdale to collect these rankings from us, and we will go along with the process as we've as established already.
I use your pen, Phil. Thank you.
Okay. If everyone is everyone done with their, okay, Mr. Drysdale, what's your, or Jan, just friends? Okay, as also indicated through the Open Meetings Act and everything or not open meetings, but, Mr. Zelnick,
Yes, Your Honor.
please explain the public vote process since this is a public meeting.
Yes, there was an inquiry, and I don't want the council to think I was being too hard on this, but having been in the business since they first adopted what they call the Sunshine Laws back in the early 70s, and being there when people protested because meetings were being held in private to make decisions in another community that I later came to represent for a long time, wanted council to know that there are not only the civil penalties if there's any action taken where decisions are made in private as opposed to public. And it extends from city council to city bodies such as a safety commission, a civil service commission. All of those groups have to make the decision with what you now call transparency. In the old days, we call it an open meeting. It's got to be a public decision. And there are criminal penalties too, and I don't remember the last time there was a prosecution, but it was probably for the city of Warren, because that would certainly make sense, at least for us lawyers and people who work in law enforcement. However, it was not meant to chide council, just to remind you that it's a far-embracing act, and if you don't understand it at any time, I'm certainly available, and Mr. Marsh is available to explain certain specific accounts of it, but this city's done rather well in that department, and I just sent it as a cautionary instruction. So I apologize if it came off kind of wordy or suggestive, and it's better than me writing a big, long opinion, Your Honor. I think it was better handled that way, so.
Thank you. So with that, this is a public vote. If
Cheaper, too. That's right, they just pointed out. That would have bought a landfill in Riverview for that much money.
So, Madam Clerk, Madam Clerk, if you could please provide each council person's rankings and the points, and Mr. Drysdale will tally as such.
Councilman Kowalski, first choice, Ed Golick. That's 3 points. Councilman Roush, first choice, Ed Golick. Second, Maul. No third. Councilman Graziani, first, Maul. Second, Ed Golick. Councilman Cuspa, first, Golick. Second, Lupercio. Councilman George, first, Ed Golick. Choice. And Councilman Ayers Reese, first, Ed Golick. Second, Maul.
Review this? Motion to burn the ballots like they do at the Academy Awards.
Per our process that we approved, if there's a clear winner, the council will appoint that individual. With that being said, the clear winner is Mr. Ed Golick. So I would need a motion to accept that selection.
Madam Chairman,
Councilman Roush.
I make a motion, we appoint Ed Golick to the open seat of Bill Clovis under the city council.
Support.
Motion by Roush, supported by George. Any discussion? I don't think there can be any objection since we did that process. Motion carries. Next, we'll move on to unscheduled persons in the audience. If there's anyone that would like to address the council, you may now. You have 3 minutes to state your name and address at the podium. Oh, yep. Whoever would like to go first, please. Please state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Joel Bond. I live in the Southampton subdivision. I've been a resident of the city for 22 years. I am interested in getting involved with what's happening with the city. Never been in politics or anything like that. So I am interested in getting information whereby I can participate and help out on whatever committees or, research and things of that nature. I currently work at Ford Motor Company. I do have a small business, a janitorial business. I own a franchise called Jan and King. So I am interested in whatever information you can give me to point me in that direction. I would appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, I would definitely
Madam Chair.
get in touch with the administration to Mr. Mayor if you were going to further.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, Mr. Vaughn, I'm going to give you my card. Please send me an email. And the way most of the commissions work
Okay.
is that the mayor, whoever it is at the time, makes recommendations to the council for concurrence on some.
Sure.
And for direct appointments on other. We do have occasionally openings and would love to have another voice in the community on those committees.
Sure.
And I'd like to talk to you more about what your interests are as it relates to, because there's probably 12 to 15 commissions that meet regularly, so
Oh, okay.
thank you for your interest.
You're quite welcome. By the way, I'm a Air Force veteran of 28 years.
Wow, thank you for your
retired.
service.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Any other unscheduled persons in the audience, please state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the council.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name's Rob Lafif. I live on Poplar Street, 16037. Appreciate everyone coming together tonight for this special meeting. I was one of the applicants as well. It's funny how things work out in life. If I guess this is posted, so I'll say my wonderful, beautiful wife forgot to pay the water bill. It was 2 days past due when I submitted my application, which I was unaware of. I can assure you now, currently, I am not in default with the city. I actually paid it before that email came out. So I do believe, based on how the notice is written, it does not specify when the application is submitted or this date to not be in default. I do believe that I meet all of the requirements, but, I respect the council's decision to not open it up beforehand, and generally, I just want to get more involved with the city. So, thank you, everyone. Appreciate, again, everyone coming together, and thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you. And yes, similar with the administration, please get in touch and go on with different.
Madam Chairman, I did give him,
Okay, very
my
good.
card prior to the
Very good.
meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Any other persons in the audience that would like to address the council? Seeing none, we'll move on to adjournment. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chairman,
Councilman
I
Roush.
just have one question. This is administration. Do we know, does MML still have training sessions for council? Because I know when I first got on, they did. I don't know if we can still check into it, but
Yes.
since we have such a young council as far as experience, that might be something we could probably check into. I know when I first got on, it helped me tremendously. I mean, I'm sure Councilman George can tell you the same thing. She was too. So it's just something I think maybe we could check into at least,
Madam Chair, yes, we said definitely will. Unfortunately, it's not like it was when you first got a council or when I first became mayor. There's not as many live sessions as there are more Zoom kind of or presentations. But either way, I think they'll be beneficial. And I thought Councilman Ayers-Reese did participate in something, didn't you, early on?
Something, but it was.
Yeah, okay. So I think they're out there. We'll make sure council is aware of them, and I appreciate the fact of making sure there's proper education on our council. We try to insist on that, and I'm glad now future Councilman Golick indicated that we are also educating our commissions, to make sure they do the best job that they can in our community. So we're really invested, whether that's our police department, fire department, commissioners, or council, that we really want to continue to invest in education for those folks.
Madam Chair, one
Mr.
other
Zelnick.
order of business before you adjourn.
Sure.
I have 2 dozen Krispy Kreme donuts here, so put them to good use before you go home, please.
Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair,
Councilwoman Ayers Reese.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Support.
Motion by Ayers Reese, supported by George. Any discussion or objection? We're adjourned.
Congratulations, Ed.
Oh, God, Sue couldn't wait to get her TV table.